According to Ellen White, Adventist pioneers and later Adventist theologians, Daniel 12:9. "Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end," has a specific and prominent prophetic meaning closely tied to Adventist eschatology. Key details from Ellen G. White. Sealing until the time of the end. Ellen White interprets the sealed words as referring to the portions of Daniel's prophecy that would not be fully understood until the end times. She states, "The book of Daniel is unsealed in the revelation to John and carries us forward to the last scenes of this earth's history." She emphasizes that prophetic understanding is progressive and that the unsealing is fulfilled as the final events come into focus, especially through the book of Revelation. Progressive understanding. White and early Adventist leaders held that the time of the end began after 1798, which Adventists identify as the end of the 1,260-year prophetic period. It is at this point, they believe, that the sealed portions of Daniel began to be understood, particularly relevant to the rise of the Advent movement and the study of prophetic timelines. Instruction for Daniel. White's interpretation highlights that Daniel himself was told not to worry about understanding the full meaning of his prophecies because that knowledge was reserved for a later era. Daniel is not rebuked. He is advised that this issue is not to be his concern. Be at peace, Daniel. Daniel and Revelation as twin books. White frequently taught that Daniel and Revelation must be studied together for a full understanding of end-time events. The books of Daniel and the Revelation are one. One is a prophecy, the other a revelation. One a book sealed, the other a book opened. Early Adventist pioneers and theologians. Historicist interpretation. Pioneers such as Uriah Smith and James White adopted a historicist interpretation, viewing Daniel 12:9 as meaning that the book of Daniel would be sealed to understanding until end-time events began unfolding, especially in the 19th century through the Millerite movement. Prophetic timelines. They taught that the time prophecies, 1,260, 1,290, and 1,335 days in Daniel 12, and their fulfillment in Christian history would be understood only after the close of the Dark Ages, when religious and prophetic knowledge would increase. Purpose for the end-time church. Daniel 12, in the Adventist view, especially helps God's people pass through the final test, as its understanding prepares them for the tribulation and for Christ's second coming. Summary of Adventist understanding. Daniel 12:9 focuses on a prophecy sealed until an appointed time, the last era of Earth's history, the time of the end. Ellen White stressed the importance of continual study, the linking of Daniel and Revelation, and the promise of increased knowledge and spiritual insight for those living in the end times. Early Adventist pioneers viewed the unsealing as a marker that knowledge of prophetic timelines and their relevance to final events and the Adventist message would be revealed to those living in and after the late 18th and 19th centuries. This interpretation continues to be foundational in Adventist theology, reinforcing the expectation of ongoing revelation and relevance for end-time believers.